Hey there, fellow tech enthusiast. Welcome back to our channel where we dive into all things related to DevOps, cloud, and career advice. Today, we have a fantastic topic lined up, and that's sure to boost your interview game and increase your chances of landing that dream job. We're going to learn how to master the art of explaining your project in an interview. This would be a lengthy video, but trust me, it is going to be worth your time. I will first talk about the steps and then we will dive into the demo part. And now, this is very important. Grab your pen and paper and let's get started. Now, before we dive into the end-to-end flow of explaining your project, let's set the stage. In any tech interview, one question that's almost guaranteed to come up is, can you explain your project, the project that you worked on? This question is a golden opportunity to showcase your skills, knowledge, and experience. Being able to articulate your project confidently can leave a lasting impression on your potential employer. Let me walk you through. Step 1. Understanding the project. The first step is to have a clear understanding of your project's goal, scope, and the problem it solves. Make sure you can explain this in a concise manner. Start by providing a high-level overview of the project and the key features it offers. Use simple language to ensure your interviewer can follow along easily. Step 2. Environment and terminologies. Now let's talk about the environment and the related terminology. In most projects, you'll encounter different environments like development, testing, staging, and production. Briefly explain about each environment purpose and don't forget to mention any specific tools your organization uses. They may use to manage these environments, right? Such as Docker, Kubernetes, or any other thing. Step 3. End-to-end flow. All right, this is where it gets exciting. The end-to-end flow of your project showcases your technical prowess and demonstrate your ability to connect the dots. Take your time with this step and walk the interviewer through each phase of the project's lifecycle, from ideation and design to development, testing, deployment, and the last stage, monitoring. Step 4. DevOps tools. DevOps is an essential part of modern software development and interviewers love to hear about it. They can ask you about the tools you use to streamline the development process. Mention popular DevOps tools like Jenkins, Git, CI/CD pipelines, and how they help in automating tasks, ensuring code quality, and reducing deployment time. Step 5. Challenges and solution. Every project faces challenges, and being honest about them reflects your maturity as a developer or a DevOps. Talk about the hurdles you encountered during the project and the strategies you employed to overcome them. This shows your problem-solving skills and determination. Step 6. Results and impact. The final step is to share the project's results and its impact on the end user or the organization. Quantify the success metrics and highlight any positive outcomes like increased efficiency, cost savings, or improved new user experience. Now let's dive into the demo part in which I'm going to explain you a project and how you can use it for your interviews. Okay, so before moving forward, we need to understand how do you explain this project, okay? So let's start from these two. So one would be the product owner and there would be developers, a team of developers. So this could be developer 1, this could be developer 2, and this could be developer 3, and so on and so forth. Okay, so the project actually starts from this place. So there would be a product owner whose function is to create the user stories. Okay, now what exactly is a user story? Where do we create it? So let us understand this way. A product owner is basically a key member of an agile development team. So agile development team is the key word over here. Agile development team. So basically agile development team who represents the voice of the customer or stakeholders. Their primary responsibility is to define and prioritize the features and the requirements of the product being developed. So he or she is the person who is going to take care of that. They collaborate closely with the stakeholders to gather feedback, understand business needs, and create a clear vision for the product. So this person has a clear vision of the product, and because this person, and there would be a stakeholder or a client. So this is a stakeholder or a client. He or she is going to talk to this person and have the requirements, have the clarity on everything that is going to be needed in the product. So that's what he does. So there are a few key responsibilities for this person is creating and maintaining the product backlog, prioritizing the backlog items, defining user stories, which we talked about over here, collaborating with the development team, and acceptance of the completed work. So when the work gets completed, the product owner accepts it, and this is how it moves forward. So there would be multiple terminologies used in this video, so please stay tuned. Okay. Now on the other hand, when we talk about this guy, this person, a developer, you already have an idea about it. The key responsibilities for this person is to write code. Okay, I'm taking it from very basics so that you can understand. And then it would be like testing in the like unit testing or debugging. This is the person who is going to do it. And then after that, he or she also collaborates with the team, continuous improvement, and so on and so forth. So we'll write etc over here. So now you understood that we have two people over here, which is one is the product owner and second one would be the developer. Okay, now how the work gets distributed. So the first step would be, if you have a Jira over here, Jira is basically a tool in which you can track, write all the bugs, features, and whatever you want to create for a product. You will use this product as Jira. There are multiple other projects, but Jira is one of the famous. It is a tool by Atlassian. So this guy, this product owner, is going to put everything in Jira. So this is the first step, and this step is known as planning step. Okay, now where does a DevOps engineer come? We'll come to that, but in order to understand it, you need to know how this distribution happens. Okay, so once it will be done, it will be distributed to the team of developers. Okay, so now your developer would come. So this would be developer, and this would be your PO, product owner. Okay, this developer will assign user stories to themselves. Okay, so if there is a team, so let's take a team of developers. This is dev 1, dev 2, dev 3, and dev 4. They will write all their, they will take all the user stories. It could be a feature. Now, how they do it? So there would be a feature. There could be an enhancement. And there could be a bug. Okay, etc. Now, whenever an interviewer asks you that how the work get distributed, so generally there would be a lead over here. So let's consider dev 1 as a lead. So this lead will discuss with the PO. They are going to have a conversation with this PO, and then PO will transfer all the work to the developers. Okay, and now developer will have these stories, and then they'll start working on it. It could be a feature, it could be an enhancement, it could be a bug, or anything else. Okay, so this is how a flow goes. Now this code will come to some kind of an SCM. Okay, now when you say this is the second step means coding. Okay, and this is the whole process that happens. Okay, now this coding happens. After that, the third step would be for DevOps, and this is from where you start explaining the project. Okay, the question will come something like that: the developer has taken the code and built something, and what is your roles and responsibilities in that? And now you will explain the project. Okay, so this is the place where you can start learning it. So the third step would be build. Here we play a crucial role. Okay, and now there will be a team of DevOps, or they are generally in less ratio with compared to developers, but there would be a team for that as well. Okay, now they'll put the code to some kind of SCM. The most popular could be GitHub, it could be Bitbucket. If you're using Amazon, then it could be Code Commit, or if you're using Azure DevOps, then it could be Azure DevOps. We have Azure Repos. Okay, I hope you folks would be able to relate. Okay, now once this is done, we are going to use a tool that is going to make a artifact out of it, and for that we need, that process is known as continuous integration. Okay, in the build step, you do the source code compilation. The code written by developers in high-level programming languages like Java, C++, Python, C# is transformed into machine-readable instruction through the compilation processes. And for that you need a tool. The most famous ones are Jenkins. It's quite an old one. Jenkins are the famous ones. And then you have Azure DevOps, and then we have pipelines in that. And then you have TeamCity as well. And apart from that, Circle CI, GitLab, etc. There are multiple tools. Okay, this would be your build step. Once this is done, there would be an artifact produced out of it, and that's how you explain the person that what kind of an artifact you have produced. Okay, so this artifact producing, let's talk more about that. Let's go in deep. You could have a Java application, right? Java generally produces 3 types of artifact. I have explained this a lot in my videos: air file, war file, and a jar file. I have a dedicated video to this. I'll give the link in the description. What exactly is air file, which is an enterprise application. Second one is web archive, and third one is Java archive. Okay, enterprise archive for air. Okay, if you have C# or .NET based code, then you have DLL. You can package it in any form. You can zip it. You can make a tar out of it. If you are in Linux, you can do that as well. And then you have you create when there is a Angular based code, or you have something created using Node.js. The other example for this would be React. So they will produce their own artifacts. They have npm build and stuff like that. Okay, now when they talk about how it has been built, so this is how you explain to the customer, or you have to explain to the interviewer that the tool that you folks use. So inside that, you are going to use Maven. It's quite famous. And then you have Ant. It's very old. I'm not sure whether it is used now or not, but Maven and Ant are quite famous. And Gradle is something that is used by everyone. Okay, so they will ask you how is the build process happening. You can talk about Gradle, Maven, or Ant, depending on the type. Okay, and for C# you can talk. For Angular you have npm build. First you have to install npm, so something, it goes something like this: npm install, I guess, if either it's -i or either it's install, something like that. And then you build it and create an artifact out of it, and it could be a zip file. It could also be a zip file. So that's how you build your project and create an artifact. And this artifact is a binary that is used by the project for the deployment part. Okay, so I hope this part is clear what you are building. Okay, the fourth step would be packaging. Basically, you package that, right? So sometimes what happens is this zip is done in this step as well. But when you package it, you put it over somewhere. Okay, so this is where Artifactory comes in handy. Okay, so this is where Artifactory comes in handy. Now Artifactory could be Nexus. Nexus is very famous. Azure Artifacts is one of other things. You can put it on S3 bucket if you're using AWS. You can use JFrog, very famous, or a lot of people keep it on their own, let's say, own VMs. They put it over there. It's not a very good practice, but they do that. Okay, this is an Artifactory. Okay, so then the flows go to the packaging part where this is going to happen. Okay, after that, let's take a pause over here and understand these 4 steps. We'll go to the deployment part. So here, from this step, from the dev, build their code and put into the repository. From there it goes to DevOps, and then this code gets built and then it's get packaged. Here generally your CI completes, the continuous integration completes. Now this is a very basic idea of how things happen, but now what happens is, in this step you have multiple things that can be embedded. So these are bonus things, but generally a lot of people take care of that. So whenever there is a code build that happens, so inside that there could be multiple steps, such as that you can say that security, what you're doing about the security scanning, right? So for security scanning you have SonarQube basically for code quality. We have, this is more of a core quality, but they can give you some code vulnerabilities as well. Okay, so you need to know what exactly is SonarQube, and they can ask like what exactly is code vulnerability, what is code coverage, very famous question, what exactly is code coverage over here. So you can explain that. I'll give you an example of that so that you can use it in your project. So consider there are four methods. Method 1 over here, there could be method 2 over here, there could be method 3 over here, there could be method 4 over here. Okay, so these are the functions basically, and if these are covered in your unit testing, for example, you have unit tests written for everything, and there could be one unit test for this, one unit test for this, one unit test, and you have not written any test for this. So total is, if total is 100%, then you have to divide it into like 4 parts, which is 25. So every test case is 25% of the whole. So now when you have 3 test cases written out of 4, there would be a 75% code coverage, and that's how it works, folks. If it would have been the 4th one, then it would have been 100%. So that's how we calculate code coverage. Okay, this is a very basic example, and a lot of people ask that in a interview. Okay, this is how code coverage happens. This is one tool, and there are multiple tools basically for this. So now next question can come, like, how do I write this test case? So for Java, we have JUnit. We have XUnit as well. For other platforms, NUnit as well. Differs, the platform differs. This is specifically for Java, and I've seen this is getting used for C# based code. I could be a bit wrong in that, but you can talk about that. Okay, this is how it happens. Now sometimes what happens in the security part, there is no jar file, or an artifact. The artifact that you produce could be a Docker image. So could be a Docker image. So if you have a Docker image, something like this, how do I scan it? So there are tool for that as well, which is known as Snyk. Snyk can actually scan your images, and this is one tool. You can do a bit Google about that. How does it work? There are other tools as well, such as you call it Veracode. Veracode is also famous, and then you have Checkmarx. Checkmarx is again, but it's more of a paid tool, so you can study about it. And then we have Coverity. I think Coverity basically. We have these kinds of tools. So for that, if the question is what do you do of security with respect to your pipeline, you can talk about these tools. You can make a narrative on this, that I have used Snyk, I have used Veracode, Checkmarx, Coverity, or SonarQube. But just talk about, just don't talk about like from the top view. You need to know what exactly is happening, because if the interviewer can catch that if you have worked on it, or you just know the terminologies. Okay, so this is how it works. Okay, so this is one step that can come after the compilation or package. Generally what happens is, these days what I'm seeing is, if there is a code that gets checked in step by step, if the step by step is happening, the code gets checked in by a developer. So there is a check-in. Okay, here this scanning happens for the code in the second step itself. So this is second step itself. If this would be your build, or this would be your package. Okay, so this scanning happens over here. So why is it important over here? Because this is also can be a question. Why is it important over here? So if I catch the vulnerabilities in the first step itself, vulnerabilities, please don't mind my writing, vulnerabilities over here, and anything related to security over here, it would be great for me, because I don't even have to build it, use my resources further. And there is something known as quality gates. Just study about that. What exactly is quality gates in SonarQube? I'm telling you all the terminologies. You can go and study about it. Inside that, when we have code coverage, then we can put the condition in the quality gates for the code coverage that 85% of my code should be covered. The very famous question, like, what is the code coverage that you pass your builds on? So you can name 85%, 80%, something like that. And after that, once that is done, the question will come for this: what exactly is making it 100%, 75%, or 85%? So you have to answer it this way. Okay, so this is how it's done. So a few people use it this way. Okay, in the scanning part. Okay, let's move forward now. Before moving further, there are few things that you need to understand. Let's talk about that. that would be known as environments. Okay, this is bits and pieces over here, right over here, but I'll connect them at the end so that you can understand. Just take out your pen and paper and start writing. Okay, let's talk about environments. Okay, so as you can see on my screen, there are 4 types of environments: dev, QA, UAT, and production. People can write one more staging or something else. There could be less, there could be more, but dev and QA and production are generally everywhere. Okay, so let's talk about that. So the first environment is a dev environment. So development environment is where software developers write, test, and debug their code. It's basically a sandbox environment isolated from the live production system, which is this one. Okay, allowing developers to work on new features, bug fixes, and improvements without affecting the live application. It is typically mirrors the target production environment as closely as possible, but may have fewer resources or be in smaller in case. So this is generally used by developers. Developers write their code, they push their code into the repositories, which is generally a develop branch or a dev branch, and then they push the code and test everything over here in dev environment. Tester does not are not more interested in dev environment. This is mostly for developer people, and they just build their code. And this is one of the most used one in the developer environment because for obvious reasons. Okay, and when we say that why are we testing in dev? In order to move a better and a mature code over to QA. So the process goes like this: from dev to QA, from QA to UAT, and UAT to production. Now sometimes what happens, in order to save the cost, a lot of people do not make the exactly same copy of the production environment, because if let's say this is 10 GB in terms of resources, this could be 5 GBs or something, because they just want to test the code as per their functionalities and stuff. Okay, so this is a very basic idea in which you have your bug fixes or enhancement, the first environment to be tested. Okay, question can be asked, what branch goes in over here? And they ask that what are your branching strategies. So you can say that we have a develop branch in which we have developers writing all the code, putting their code and pushing to the dev environment. Okay, once that is done, once this code is tested, it is moved to a QA environment. So QA basically stands for quality assurance. The QA environment is used for quality assurance testing. So when we have, let me scroll this, we have a dev over here, or a team of devs over here, someone known as a tester or a QA. We have it over here. And then a QA environment is used for quality assurance testing after the development phase, which is this. The software is deployed on the QA environment for rigorous testing by QA engineers. They perform various tests, including functional testing. So you need to do a bit of R&D. What exactly is functional testing? Okay. And then after that functional integration testing, you have integration testing when you integrate every module and test them in Unison. And then you have performance testing. There are a lot of testings. I mean, I can not name all of them. Performance, then we have security testing, and then you have regression testing and stuff. Regression is very important. What exactly is the regression? So I'll give you a name. So there could be a change, and that change should not break the actual functionality. For that we have regression testing, so you can study about that. This is more of a QA work, tester work, but as a DevOps you need to know that what exactly is this. You may not need to know how to do this, but you need to understand what exactly is. Okay, and then a few tools you can talk about, like what exactly. There is something known as QTP, which is Quick Test Professional. There is a very famous Selenium tool for a web-based application. You know about it, right? If you're not, feel free to Google it out. You would be able to understand. And then at the third point, you have your UAT. So UAT is basically user acceptance testing. So user acceptance testing is where end users or stakeholders get to test the software. So there would be a team of people over here, mostly stakeholders. So stakeholders is someone who sees like how it is going to look like in production. Production is the final environment, is just a penalty mate environment. In that, end users or stakeholders get to test over here. So you can, these are the stakeholders. Ensure that it meets their requirement and expectation. So whatever the expectation they have set through the product owner are meeting here or not. Now try to understand it this way. This guy over here, the PO, has set some requirements, and on that we have created some stories. Developer has taken some stories, DevOps is doing their work, and the Artifactory creating a package out of it. And then once it is done, the functionality is working fine or not. So I'll just write functionality is working fine or not. That has to be tested. So during this stage, user interact with the application as it were the production environment. So as I said, that it could be a pre-prod environment. It's also a very common term, pre-prod environment. Any identified issues are reported back to the development team for resolution. A successful UAT is usually a sign of software is ready to release for the production environment. So there could be a separate branch for this, which could be known as UAT. Again, the question of branching strategies, what you have, or this could be QA branch. I have a QA branch in our project. I have a UAT in our project. You have to explain it that way. Okay, you should know whole of this process. And then once this is done, if it is good, then you are ready to promote to the production environment. The production environment, also known as the live environment, you also call it as a live environment, or the real world environment in which fully tested and approved software is deployed for the end user. So this is your end user. So if you are working in a Facebook company, there would be a developer team of tester, and then once they release the product, you would be able to see the feature in www.facebook.com. okay, so that's a production environment that people use. Okay, so it is usually set up where redundancy, stability, and security measure to ensure the application availability and integrity. Changes to the production environment should be carefully managed and follow strict deployment procedures to minimize risk. So there should be gates. Basically, I'll explain you what exactly is gates. So people should approve before moving the code to this environment. So that's how it is done. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. So we have talked about, so this is where a DevOps engineer plays a role. So if people ask you, like, explain your project, you should explain in this way. So first we have to talk about that, what kind of, okay, let me steps you should take. First of all, you should know the tech stack. What exactly is the tech stack that you folks use? Tech stack contains all the softwares, all the tools and technologies that are used in your project. This should be by heart. A DevOps engineer is someone who knows almost everything, like jack of all trades, basically, tools and technologies, and also master of a few things. Okay, so tech stack, you have to know about it. And once that, after developer pushes the code, to some SCM, okay, this is where your role comes. So you need to know what kind of languages. For that, once you know the language, you need to know the build process. Talk about the build process, what is happening in the build process. After that build process, how are you packaging it? Talk about that. And yeah, one more step. This is a bonus step over here. If you are doing some kind of static code analysis or using SonarQube or check marks, there would be a step over here. Okay, then it would be a build step. Okay, so that's what I've done. You can take that as a first step, you can take as a second step, and you can take it packaging it third step. And after that, how is the deployment happening? So this is a very basic example. If there is let's say a Docker file over here, then there could be a security scanning for Docker file as well, sorry, Docker image as well. Okay, so security scanning could be there. Okay, this is, I'll mark it as asterisk. You can either put it over here, but you have to explain that how it is happening. So if you are explaining this, make sure that you know in and out of it. Okay, and then you have the deployment. In the deployment, after that, how deployment is happening, you have to explain it in a way. It goes to dev environment, it goes to QA environment, it goes to staging or UAT, and then it goes to the production environment. Okay, so this is how you explain your project to any interviewer. If you are good in explaining your project, you are all, like, I think you are 30 to 40% in, if you know in and out of your project, because that's a lot of people have given interview to me. They don't even know their project. They don't even know the flow, where is the code going, what tech stack it is, what tools and technologies are used. Okay, so this is a very basic idea of how you explain your project to the interviewer. Okay, at the end, I will just write something and show you at the end how it is happening, and we'll go once more over that. Okay, so this is how it goes. Again, the first step would be the product owner who is taking all the functionalities, creating Jira stories to assign it to a developer. It goes over here. I'll take the red pen. This would be the first step. And then the next step, it goes down to the developer, and then they'll create the code, put in some sort of SCM over here. And then from there, I've taken this tool as a Jenkins. This would be your third step in which your build is happening. Now build and packaging is everything happening over here. You have your Jenkins. Now there would be static code analysis using SonarQube. There could be code coverage using SonarQube. There will be a build over here. You can use any tool like Maven, you can use Ant, you can use NPM, you can use any other tool which I have explained above. Then you package the file to some form, jar, var, air, zip, tar, any file. And then if you have a Docker image, then you use Sneak tools. There are multiple tools like Veracode and other tools as well. Then you do the deployment. Now, if the build fails over here, or if there is any issue, this goes like this to the developer again. So this is going like this from here, and then again to the developer. He'll fix, put the code into SCM again, then the build again. So this happens again and again. But if it passes, then it goes to the dev environment. Okay, in dev environment, your developer would be the one who will be doing the testing. If it passes, then it goes to the QA environment. Otherwise, it will go to the back to the dev code, and then dev has to fix it. This cycle repeats. Similarly, when the code passes, goes to QA environment, there would be a QA team of QA over here, quality analyst, or the testers, you like to call them. They'll do their testing. If it fails, again it goes back over here, goes back to the developer again over here. He or she will build the code again, write the code again, fix it, and produces some sort of result. If it passes, then it goes to the UAT environment, which is over there. Fails, again goes back to the developer. I'll write over to dev. I'll write to dev like this. Okay, and then if it passes at the UAT, then it goes to here. There would be stakeholders. Okay, people who are expecting some sort of result. So there would be stakeholders, and then there would be a production environment to the end users. And that's how it is done, guys. So this is how you explain your project. Take out a pen and paper, write down all these steps, and build it according to your project. I'm not saying that this could be exactly the same project that you have in your environment, have in your organization or something. It differs, but you can enter your step and write it on a white sheet, paste it in front of your wherever you sit on the wall, and see it every time. Okay, this is the flow, this is how it is happening. So you'll see it for every day when you open the laptop, and you would be able to learn it, and this will help you how to explain the project in any sort of interview. So folks, I hope you have liked the video. If there is any confusion, feel free to ask me. This is very basic step to learn whenever you have to explain the project, because what exactly you do in your project, you have to explain your project, the entire flow end to end. I have asked this question a lot, and a lot of people do not answer it properly. So make sure that you know this. This is 90% of the times the question is asked, like, explain me your project and what are your roles and responsibilities in that. So congratulations, you have just mastered the art of explaining your project in an interview. Remember, practice makes perfect, so rehearse your pitch until you feel confident enough. By being well prepared and articulate, you significantly increase your chances of impressing your potential employer and landing that dream job. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and share it with your fellow tech enthusiasts, and don't forget to subscribe our channel for more valuable content like this. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Wish you good luck with your future interviews.